Welcome back, Coinology. In the quiet hum of everyday life, a single penny often passes unnoticed, slipping through fingers, resting at the bottom of pockets, or clinking into jars where spare change gathers like a small forgotten history. But within the small circle of copper-plated zinc lies a story that stretches far beyond its 1-cent value. The 1990 D Lincoln cent is one such coin, a tiny artifact of America's vast numismatic tapestry, a coin that bridges the decades between tradition and technology, between design and destiny, between the ordinary and the extraordinary. What seems at first to be a simple penny can, in the right circumstances, be worth tens of thousands, even millions of dollars to collectors who understand its hidden significance. The year was 1990. America was standing on the threshold of a new decade, watching Avid Brenner in 1909, enduring through generations as a symbol of unity and perseverance. The D mint mark below the date denoted Denver, a city whose mint had become a vital part of the nation's coinage system, known for its precision and volume. To understand why the 1990 D penny matters, one must first load the word Liberty balances the composition. The date 1990 sits cleanly at the right edge, with the small letter D just beneath it, signifying its origin from the Denver Mint. Turn the coin, and the reverse presents the Lincoln Memorial, the design introduced in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Frank Gasparo's vision replaced the wheat ears of earlier cents, offering instead a stately monument as a reflection of America's respect for the man whose leadership saved the Union. If you look closely, even the tiny seated figure of Lincoln can be seen within the memorial, an astonishing detail that demonstrates the skill and precision of mid-century American coin artistry. It's this blend of history, symbolism, and fine craftsmanship that continues to captivate collectors, even decades after the coin's minting. But the true intrigue of the 1990 D cent lies beyond its familiar face. To the untrained eye, it's a common coin. Over a billion were produced at the Denver Mint that year, each weighing approximately 2.5 grams, composed of 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper plating, a composition change that had begun in 1982 when the soaring cost of copper forced the mint to abandon its traditional bronze formula. The shift from solid copper to copper-plated zinc marked a new era for the penny, one that would forever alter its feel, its tone, and even its sound when dropped onto a tabletop. The 1990 D penny, therefore, stands as a witness to this transition, modern in metal yet traditional in design. Collectors know, however, that within any mass production, anomalies can emerge, tiny errors, rare variations, or misstruck pieces that defy uniformity. These are the treasures that fuel the passion of numismatics. Some 1990 D pennies have been discovered with doubled dies, off-center strikes, or missing mint marks, each flaw a fingerprint of the machinery's imperfection. And in the world of coin collecting, imperfection often means immense value. One of the most talked about mysteries surrounding the 1990 D Lincoln cent involves a rare and fascinating error where the proof dies, normally reserved for special collector coins struck in San Francisco, were mistakenly used in Denver. These proof-like errors bear sharper details, mirror-like surfaces, and occasionally features that should never have appeared on circulation coins. Such coins are exceedingly rare, often surfacing only after years of obscurity in private collections or small coin shops. When discovered, they ignite a frenzy among collectors, driving market values to astonishing heights. The story of the 1990 D penny's rise to fame among collectors isn't just about the coin itself, it's about timing, rarity, and the human fascination with hidden fortune. Stories began circulating online and in collector forums about a particular 1990 D Lincoln cent that sold for tens of thousands of dollars, and in some cases, rumors claimed prices in the range of millions. While some of these tales were exaggerated or misreported, they captured the imagination of millions. Suddenly, people began checking their spare change, scouring old jars, and examining every penny under bright light in search of the elusive treasure that could transform a single cent into unimaginable wealth. The weight of the 1990 D cent, 2.5 grams, seems trivial, yet it carries the symbolic weight of America's coinage legacy. Its diameter of 19 millimeters, its reeded edges smooth and familiar, have been touched by millions of hands. The coin itself, though small, represents an unbroken chain of design continuity dating back to 1909. Few coins in the world have maintained such a long, unaltered design lineage. This continuity is what gives the Lincoln cent its unique place in American history. It is not just currency, but a piece of cultural identity. And the market condition determines everything. A circulated 1990 D penny might be worth only face value, but in pristine, uncirculated condition, with sharp details and brilliant luster, its value begins to climb. Grading systems, established by the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, and the Numismatic Guarantee Company, NGC, categorize coins from poor, P1, to perfect mint state, MS70. A 1990 D cent graded at the highest levels can easily attract collectors willing to pay hundreds or even thousands of dollars, particularly if the coin exhibits full red color and no visible blemishes. But when we talk about those legendary examples worth over $80,000 or more, we're entering the realm of the exceptional, the rare errors, the untouched proofs, and the immaculate strikes that defy time and circumstance. One such example reportedly sold at auction for an astonishing amount due to its flawless preservation and unique die characteristics. Such cases are rare, but they serve as proof of the coin's potential, reminding collectors that even the smallest artifact of metal can become a fortune under the right conditions. As we peer closer at the coin's design, the artistry becomes even more meaningful. Brenner's initials, discreetly placed beneath Lincoln's shoulder, were once the subject of controversy when first introduced in 1909. Early critics argued they were too prominent, and the mint removed them briefly before restoring them in smaller form. This small detail on the 1990 D cent carries within it a century-old debate about artistry, recognition, and pride in craftsmanship. Every time a collector tilts the coin toward the light, those tiny letters VDB serve as a reminder of an artist's enduring signature, a connection between creator and creation that time has not erased. The coin symbol itself, the humble cent, stands for more than monetary value. It's the unit of American persistence, the smallest building block of economy and savings. Generations have learned arithmetic with pennies, children have filled jars with them, and dreamers have tossed them into fountains, hoping for luck. The 1990 D penny, like its countless predecessors, carries stories of ordinary lives, yet in the realm of collectors, it transcends that ordinariness, becoming an object of desire and reverence. As the documentary lens moves from the factory floor of the Denver Mint to the quiet study of a coin collector, we see the other side of this story. Under the soft glow of magnifying lamps, collectors study the 1990 D cents with careful precision, searching for doubled dies, repunched mint marks, and the subtle raised lines that betray a minting error. They handle each coin with gloves, preserving the delicate surface from the oils of human skin, understanding that every imperfection could either destroy value or create it. In the world of numismatics, time is both friend and enemy. The longer a coin survives untouched, the rarer it becomes in mint condition. But circulation and handling wear down its surfaces, dulling its shine and erasing fine details. For the 1990 D penny, over 3 decades of existence mean that most examples have lived hard lives, tossed, spent, saved, lost, and found again. The few that remain pristine, still bright as the day they were struck, are now coveted relics of the past. Some collectors recall the first time they found a 1990 D penny with unusual traits, perhaps an off-center strike, a broad rim, or even a misaligned die. Others discovered proof-like surfaces that seemed too brilliant for an ordinary circulation coin. Each discovery adds another layer to the coin's mystique, another story to its legend. And as news spreads of rare sales, coins fetching 5 or even 6 figures at auction, the world begins to pay attention again to the smallest coin in circulation. In truth, the real worth of th. As the story of the 1990 D penny deepens, we find ourselves stepping into the hidden world where collectors, graders, historians, and dreamers all converge, the numismatic underworld of discovery and obsession. What began as a simple copper-plated cent now becomes a portal into a larger mystery, where every scratch, every shimmer, every microscopic imperfection tells a tale of creation, circulation, and value. The 1990 D Lincoln cent is not merely a coin, it is a mirror reflecting decades of American history, the evolution of technology, and the delicate balance between rarity and recognition. Inside the Denver Mint in 1990, precision was everything. Machines hummed in mechanical rhythm, pressing blank zinc planchets with immense force, over 60 tons per strike, to create perfect impressions of Lincoln's portrait. Each die, made from steel hardened to withstand thousands of strikes, bore the date and mint mark meticulously engraved. The workers, clad in protective gear, monitored the process, ensuring that no die broke, no metal jammed, and no blank went unstruck. Yet, despite this industrial perfection, errors inevitably occurred, tiny deviations that would later define numismatic legends. When a die was overused, its details would soften, leading to weaker strikes. Sometimes dies were misaligned, producing coins with off-center images or partial impressions. Occasionally, mint marks were punched in at slightly different angles, creating subtle variations known as repunched mint marks. And rarely, a proof die reserved for collector coins with mirror-like finishes found its way into the regular minting process, creating coins that were never meant to exist. Among the 1990 D issues, it's these elusive anomalies that have drawn the eyes of collectors around the world. In the numismatic community, word travels fast. A collector in the early 2000s reportedly discovered an extraordinary 1990 D penny with mirror-like surfaces and razor-sharp details, leading experts to suspect it was struck from proof dies. Soon after, similar examples surfaced, each one examined, photographed, and compared with known mint records. The findings stunned even seasoned experts. These weren't ordinary circulation coins. They possessed characteristics that mirrored the rare San Francisco proofs, yet they bore the D mint mark of Denver. How such coins escaped the mint remains a mystery to this day, but they immediately became the crown jewels of modern penny collecting. The market responded with fervor. Auctions buzzed with excitement as collectors battled to claim these rare pieces. A coin that once passed through cash registers for a pack of gum was now being traded for prices exceeding new cars. In one remarkable sale, a pristine 1990 Lincoln cent graded MS-69 by PCGS fetched a sum so high it defied logic, tens of thousands of dollars for a coin most people overlook in their change. Even more astonishing were the rumors of privately traded specimens commanding values that reached into the six-figure range, sometimes whispered to be worth as much as $84 million in speculative collector lore. Though such extreme figures often drift into myth, their power lies in imagination, the idea that hidden in plain sight, in the everyday circulation of America's currency, a treasure could be waiting. The 1990 D penny thus became not only a collectible but a symbol of hope for hobbyists and treasure seekers alike. People across the country began searching their coin jars, emptying their drawers, and examining every penny they found, hoping that one of them might bear the characteristics of a rare error or proof strike. To understand how such extraordinary values are determined, we must explore the art and science of coin grading. At its heart lies the concept of preservation, how untouched, how immaculate, how perfect the coin remains after decades of existence. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale, and each number marks a distinct level of quality. A grade of MS-60 indicates a mint-state coin with noticeable marks and luster breaks, while MS-70 represents absolute perfection, no flaws, no scratches, not even under a magnifying glass. Achieving MS-70 status is nearly impossible for mass-circulated coins, which is why those that do reach such heights command enormous premiums. When a 1990 D penny earns such a grade, it becomes more than a collectible, it becomes a relic of perfection. Imagine a coin struck in 1990, surviving 35 years without a single mark, its red copper surface glowing as if newly minted. For collectors, such coins are almost spiritual objects, proof that time and handling can be defied. Each one is carefully encased in plastic, sealed, and certified by professional grading companies to ensure authenticity and condition. The demand for high-grade 1990 D cents grew as coin investors realized the profit potential. Coin shows across America began displaying these pennies in glass cases, their small size belying their immense worth. Dealers spoke with reverence of their brilliance, of the way the light reflected off Lincoln's cheek, of the crispness of the memorial columns on the reverse. To hold such a coin was to hold a fragment of minting perfection, a creation so flawless that it felt almost divine. But not every story surrounding the 1990 D penny is one of perfection. There are those whose coins bear the scars of production errors, misaligned dies, double strikes, or missing elements. One particularly famous type of error, known as a double die, occurs when the coin's design is struck twice at slightly different angles, causing a ghost-like duplication of letters or numbers. A double die 1990 D cent can turn a 1-cent piece into a $1,000 collectible overnight, especially if the doubling is clear on the date or on the words "In God We Trust." In another fascinating case, coins missing their mint mark have been discovered, 1990 cents with no D below the date, even though they were struck in Denver. These pieces recall one of the most legendary modern minting errors, the 1990 No-S proof cent, a coin accidentally released without its mint mark from the San Francisco Mint. That error, though unrelated to Denver, has often been associated with the 1990 D due to confusion among collectors. Yet together, these stories feed the mystique of the 1990 coinage year, a period that remains one of the most intriguing in modern U.S. penny history. When analyzing the 1990 D penny, it's also crucial to consider the materials from which it was made. By 1990, the mint had fully transitioned to copper-plated zinc planchets. The shift from solid bronze to this new composition was controversial at first, with some collectors lamenting the loss of the heavy, warm tone of older pennies. The new cents were lighter, 2.5 grams instead of 3.11 grams, and when dropped on a surface, they produced a duller sound. Yet this change reflected economic necessity. Copper prices had soared, and the cost of making each penny had begun to exceed its face value. Despite the criticism, the new composition proved resilient. The plating process, however, introduced its own quirks. Occasionally, the copper coating would be incomplete, leaving small patches of exposed zinc that oxidized into dark spots. Other times, the plating would bubble or peel, creating texture anomalies that some mistook for rare errors. In truth, such imperfections are often the result of minting inconsistencies rather than collectible rarity, but to the passionate eye of a coin hunter, every detail invites investigation. It's this hunt that keeps the story alive, the eternal chase for the rare, the flawless, the extraordinary. Somewhere, hidden among billions of ordinary coins, a few remarkable specimens continue to elude us. Stories abound of ordinary people discovering hidden fortunes in the most unexpected places. A retired teacher in California found an uncirculated 1990 D penny in a roll she had saved from a bank decades earlier. When examined and graded, it received a near-perfect MS-69 red designation and sold for thousands of dollars. Another collector unearthed a proof-like Denver penny from a flea market purchase, later verified as an ultra-rare specimen. These tales, told and retold across online communities, keep the legend alive, inspiring new generations to look closer at the smallest things. The value of the 1990D penny today fluctuates depending on grade and rarity. In average circulated condition, it remains a humble cent, worth its face value. In uncirculated mint condition, it may bring a few dollars. But in exceptional states, with red luster and pristine surfaces, values can soar into the hundred. The story of the 1990D Lincoln cent now moves from the mints and machines to the marketplaces and minds of those who give it its greatest meaning: the collectors, the dealers, the historians, and the dreamers. The world of coin auctions is unlike any other. It is a stage where passion, history, and fortune collide. Within the gleaming showcases of major numismatic events, beneath the soft hum of whispers and the gleam of polished glass, sits a coin so small it could disappear in the palm of a hand. Yet, in this world, that same coin could hold the power to change a life. The 1990D penny, once an afterthought of commerce, has become a modern legend. At the great coin shows of America, in cities like Chicago, Philadelphia, and Las Vegas, collectors gather from every corner of the country, their eyes scanning for glints of copper in history. Tables stretch for miles, filled with cases of coins protected in transparent slabs, each bearing labels with codes, grades, and prices that climb from a few dollars to unimaginable sums. To the uninitiated, the fascination may seem strange. But to those who know, every penny holds potential, the piece of the great American puzzle that links generations through metal, artistry, and memory. Among these collectors, whispers of the 1990D penny echo like urban legends. Some speak of one sold quietly through private auction for tens of thousands. Others recall an anonymous buyer who, through an intermediary, paid what was rumored to be the highest recorded amount for a single modern Lincoln cent. While not every rumor can be verified, their persistence gives the coin an almost mythical aura. It's the type of story that numismatics thrives on, the blend of fact, speculation, and hope that fuels the hunt for rare treasure in ordinary pockets. At the center of this culture stands the auction floor, an arena where coins find their ultimate reckoning. The lights dim slightly as the auctioneer takes the stage. Collectors lean forward in anticipation as the next lot is announced. Lot number 2117, 1990D Lincoln cent, graded PCGS 69 red, flawless surfaces, proof-like finish. The murmurs ripple across the room. Everyone knows what this means: one of the finest examples of its kind, a coin that embodies the perfect storm of rarity and condition. Bids start modestly, a few $100, $1,000, $2,000, but as the excitement builds, numbers climb with stunning speed. The room grows tense, the air thick with expectation. Collectors raise their paddles with a mix of logic and emotion, driven by both passion and prestige. In moments, the bidding reaches $10,000, then $20,000. The auctioneer's voice quickens, echoing across the hall. Do I hear 30? 30,000? Yes, 30,000 in the back. Applause erupts as the coin sells for a record figure, its small copper face now a symbol of triumph and obsession. For the winner, the 1990D penny becomes more than a collectible. It becomes a relic of personal achievement, a piece of history that connects them to Lincoln, to Brenner, to the Denver Mint, and to the millions of people who have held a penny without ever knowing its deeper worth. The coin, encased in crystal clear plastic, joins the collector's vault, resting among other treasures: a 1909 SVDB, a 1955 double die, a 1943 copper cent. Each coin tells a different story, but the 1990D stands apart, a modern miracle, born in an age when such miracles were thought no longer possible. Beyond the auction houses and coin conventions, another kind of collector thrives: the everyday person who never planned to enter this world, but stumbled into it by chance. They are the ones who find beauty in the smallest things. A young woman in Texas once discovered an uncirculated 1990D penny among her grandfather's belongings, preserved in a small plastic bag for decades. When appraised, it turned out to be one of the finest known examples, its surface is untouched by time, its luster as bright as the day it left the Denver Mint. She had found it by accident, but in that moment, she joined a lineage of discoverers who turned chance into legacy. Stories like these ripple across social media, YouTube channels, and collector forums. Videos show magnified views of Lincoln's portrait, slow pans across the coin's shining face, and passionate voices explaining how a single cent could be worth more than a luxury car. Audiences watch in fascination, some skeptical, others hopeful. The 1990D penny has become a symbol of hidden wealth, of the magic of discovery, proof that treasures still exist in the most ordinary corners of life. Yet for all the talk of money, collectors know that value isn't just about price. It's about preservation of art, history, and craft. Each 1990D cent represents a moment in American time. 1990, the final years before the digital economy began to transform how people thought of money itself. Cash still ruled daily transactions. Coinage was still a tangible connection to national identity, to hard work, and to legacy. When people handled a penny, they handled a fragment of their country's story. What makes this particular coin so fascinating is its duality. On one hand, it is utterly common, a coin billions once held. On the other, it is capable of achieving mythical status in its rarest forms. This contrast mirrors the human experience, the ordinary capable of extraordinary greatness under the right light. In this sense, the 1990D penny is not just a collectible, it is a metaphor for transformation, the idea that greatness often hides in plain sight to eye in the coin's design. Every curve, every shadow reflects deliberate artistry. Lincoln's gaze, forward and solemn, seems to watch over time itself. His profile has endured wars, recessions, cultural shifts, and economic revolutions. The Lincoln cent has outlasted entire generations of currency. And the Denver Mint, which produced the 1990D, remains a cornerstone of American minting excellence, its distinctive D mint mark now a signature of quality known worldwide. When examining high-value 1990D pennies, experts use magnification to analyze even the tiniest details. The sharpness of Lincoln's hair, the clarity of the lettering, the luster that ripples like sunlight across metal, these qualities separate a common coin from a masterpiece. Under specialized lighting, proof-like examples shimmer with mirrored brilliance. The raised elements appear frosted against gleaming fields, creating a contrast so beautiful that even seasoned graders pause to appreciate it. The microscopic world of coin examination reveals wonders invisible to the naked eye. Minute die cracks, tiny chips of metal, or doubled impressions tell a story of the coin's birth. These small irregularities, once considered flaws, now serve as fingerprints, unique identifiers that distinguish one coin from another. A particular 1990D might show a thin die line near the rim, or a faint doubling in the date, features that add both character and value. In numismatics, perfection and imperfection dance together, each enhancing the other's worth. As collectors delve deeper, they begin to see the 1990D not the marketplace for such coins evolves constantly. Online auctions now connect collectors across continents, where rare 1990D specimens exist rooted in history, has adapted seamlessly to the modern age, ensuring that even ancient symbols like the penny remain alive in the 21st century. At major grading institutions, technicians handle coins with reverence. Wearing cotton gloves, they study each piece under precise lighting, rotating it gently to assess its surfaces. The 1990G larger than themselves. They become guardians of history, protectors of artistry, and participants in a legacy that stretches back to 1909 when the Lincoln cent was first struck. Through their collections, they preserve not only coins but the stories that come with them, the narrative of a nation's evolution told through copper, bronze, and zinc. The economic side of this story is equally fascinating. As the prices for rare 1990D pennies climb, they challenge perceptions of what value truly means. How can a 1-cent coin, made of inexpensive metal, be worth more than gold? The answer lies in scarcity, demand, and emotion. Value, in the world of collectibles, is not intrinsic, it is human. It's built on desire, on the belief that this object is special, irreplaceable, and part of a shared story that stretches across time, and so, the legend grows. Every year, new discoveries add fresh chapters. A previously unknown die variety emerges. A mint-sealed roll yields an unexpected treasure. Each new revelation renews the excitement, reminding everyone that even in a world of mass production, uniqueness endures. The 1990D Lincoln cent, now over 3 decades old, continues to capture attention not because it is rare in number, but because it is rare in meaning. As this part of the story. The world turns, decades pass, and yet the story of a small copper-plated coin continues to unfold in unexpected ways. The 1990D Lincoln cent, born in the mechanical thunder of the Denver Mint, has transcended its humble origins to become something far larger, a reflection of human curiosity, of history preserved in metal, of the unending search for meaning in even the smallest of things. As we journey further into its story, we find that this coin's significance stretches beyond collectors and auctions. It reaches into culture, memory, and the very idea of what it means to assign value. There is something deeply poetic about a coin. It circulates endlessly, passed from hand to hand, carrying invisible histories. Each penny tells a silent story of the worker who earned it, the child who saved it, the traveler who lost it. The 1990D penny, in particular, is one of those tiny witnesses to time, a survivor of countless exchanges, surviving long enough to be noticed again by eyes that finally understood its importance. Every scratch, every trace of wear becomes a record of life itself, a journal written not in ink but in metal. In the quiet spaces of museums and private collections, under the gentle glow of display lights, the Lincoln cent sits encased in clear protection. Visitors lean close, reading the small inscription, 1 cent, United States of America. Above the image of the Lincoln Memorial, the words E pluribus unum remind them of a timeless truth out of many, one. For a moment, that phrase connects everything: the mint workers in Denver, the engraver's careful hand, the collectors of today, and the citizens who spent these coins without thought. A single cent becomes a symbol of unity, continuity, and resilience. The portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse has never faded in its significance. Chosen for the cent in 1909 to mark the centennial of Lincoln's birth, it was the first time an American president's face appeared on circulating coinage. Victor David Brenner's design captured not only Lincoln's likeness but his spirit, the quiet strength, the humility, the resolve that defined his leadership during America's most divided era. Over the decades, as the Lincoln cent endured, that image became one of the most recognized and beloved in all of American coinage. By 1990, the Lincoln penny had already lived through over 8 decades of minting, through wars, depressions, social revolutions, and economic upheavals. It had been carried by soldiers in World War II, tucked into the pockets of factory workers, dropped into jukeboxes, and given as change in small-town diners. And in Denver, where the 1990 D was born, that long tradition continued, blending craftsmanship with industrial precision. What emerged was not just a piece of money, but a piece of legacy. For many collectors, the allure of the 1990 D penny lies in its ability to bridge eras, the old world of solid bronze coins and the new age of copper-plated zinc. It's a transitional coin in every sense, representing change not only in metal but in mindset. In a decade when technology was accelerating and digital systems were beginning to reshape the way people lived and paid, the penny remained a steadfast symbol of tangibility. It reminded people of something real, something they could hold. In that same decade, coin collecting began its own transformation. Once a quiet hobby shared among historians and enthusiasts, it was entering the modern age of grading, certification, and global communication. Organizations like PCGS and NGC gave coins new credibility, turning what was once guesswork into a science of preservation. When a 1990 D penny was encased in a slab and labeled with an official grade, it became not just a coin but a documented artifact. Every surface, every reflection, every microscopic flaw was catalogued, an unchanging record of perfection or history. And yet, beyond the technical precision, there remains something emotional about these coins. A collector, holding a freshly graded 1990 D MS69 red, doesn't see just a piece of copper-plated zinc. They see decades of patience, research, and discovery. They feel the weight of history, the artistry of Brenner, the power of Lincoln's image, the hum of the Denver presses that gave it life. The connection is intimate, almost spiritual. Each coin feels like a message from the past, whispering of the thousands of lives that intersected with its journey. The 1990 D also tells a story of endurance. Billions were made, yet only a fraction remain pristine. Time, circulation, and neglect have worn away the others, leaving only a few examples capable of reaching the highest grades. This rarity, born not from low mintage but from survival, is what gives the coin its mystique. Finding one in perfect condition feels less like chance and more like fate, as if the coin itself had chosen to remain unspoiled, waiting for discovery. In collector circles, conversations about the 1990 D often drift into philosophy. What makes one coin worth a fortune while another, identical in appearance, remains a mere cent? The answer lies in perspective, in the human tendency to treasure what endures against odds. The 1990 D penny embodies that paradox: mass-produced yet uniquely valuable, common yet revered, ordinary yet capable of commanding unimaginable prices. It is the physical expression of a timeless truth that value is never fixed. It is created by attention, by love, by the stories we attach to things. Even today, new generations of collectors are drawn to the mystery. Young hobbyists armed with magnifying glasses and smartphones study their change with wonder, chasing the stories they've heard online, stories of pennies that sold for thousands, of coins that turned ordinary people into overnight millionaires. And while many never find that rare treasure, what they do find is something deeper, a connection to history, to curiosity, and to the thrill of discovery. In classrooms and coin clubs, mentors pass down knowledge, teaching about die varieties, minting errors, and the delicate art of grading. They explain how to distinguish machine doubling from true double dies, how to recognize luster breaks, how to read a coin story in its smallest imperfections. Among these lessons, the 1990 D penny often becomes a case study, a perfect example of how modern coins can still hold immense value if preserved with care and patience. Meanwhile, deep in vaults and collections, a few select specimens rest in darkness, preserved for the future. Perhaps one day they'll re-emerge when another generation of collectors rediscovers their beauty, their rarity, and their story. Coins, unlike most artifacts, are eternal. They resist decay, surviving floods, fires, wars, and time. The 1990 D penny, sealed in its plastic case, may outlive us all, waiting patiently for the world to remember it once more. Beyond its monetary worth, the 1990 D penny also speaks to a broader cultural nostalgia. In an age when digital payments dominate and coins grow scarce, holding one feels like holding a piece of the past, a tactile link to an era when every cent mattered. There's something grounding in that experience, something honest and real. It reminds us that value once had weight, that money once jingled in pockets and drawers instead of glowing on screens. Numismatics has always been more than a hobby, it's an act of preservation, of art, of history, of memory. And the 1990D penny, in all its humble grandeur, embodies this perfectly. Its design honors a man who preserved a nation. Its production marks a century of American coinage. Its survival reflects the human instinct to protect what is beautiful and meaningful. And its legend proves that no object is too small to carry greatness. Somewhere tonight, in a quiet room, a collector opens a velvet-lined case. Inside, under soft light, lies a single penny, dated 1990, marked with a D. The collector studies it with quiet reverence, tracing the familiar outlines of Lincoln's face, the words "In God We Trust" gleaming under the lamp. For a moment, all noise fades, and only the coin exists, a symbol of continuity, of craftsmanship, of time's strange persistence. That single cent, so small, holds a story larger than any dollar ever could. In the next part, we'll step even deeper into the world of legend and legacy, exploring how myths surrounding the 1990D penny's astronomical values began, the truth behind rumored multi-million-dollar sales, and the lasting cultural fascination that keeps the small copper coin shining across generations. The fascination surrounding the 1990D Lincoln cent has only grown stronger as time moves forward. What began as a simple 1-cent piece, minted by the billions for circulation, has transformed into a mysterious legend whispered among collectors, investors, and dreamers alike. As with many treasures throughout history, myth and reality have intertwined, creating a story larger than the coin itself, a story of chance, obsession, and the irresistible allure of hidden fortune. In the quiet corners of the numismatic world, rumors began to surface, tales of a single 1990D penny selling for tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands, of dollars. Some claimed to have seen private offers, others spoke of secret collectors who would pay any price for a flawless specimen. The figures grew with every telling, until eventually, the legend reached astronomical proportions, whispers of an $84 million penny, a single cent that could change a person's life forever. To many, it sounded impossible. To others, it was a challenge. How, they wondered, could a coin so common hold such unimaginable value? The answer, as with all great mysteries, lies in rarity, condition, and the power of story. Somewhere within the billions of 1990D pennies lies the possibility of perfection, a coin so flawless, so untouched by time, that it transcends its monetary purpose. The idea that such a coin could exist, unblemished since the day it was struck, fuels a global hunt that has lasted decades. Every collector knows that perfection in coinage is nearly impossible. Even in the highly controlled environment of the Denver Mint, minute variations occur, tiny marks from the die, faint scratches from handling, the subtle shifts in luster caused by contact with other coins in the minting bin. To find one that escaped all of that, to discover a specimen that remains as pristine as the moment it was created, is to find something extraordinary. For those who seek it, the 1990D penny represents the dream of untouched beauty, yet rarity alone is not what gives it life. It's the stories told about it, the tales of people who found one in a handful of change and suddenly became part of a legend. Whether true or imagined, those stories spread across the internet, through YouTube videos, online forums, and collector groups, igniting excitement and curiosity everywhere. The 1990D became more than a coin, it became a symbol of possibility, proof that even the smallest, most overlooked object might hide something priceless. In reality, a genuine 1990D penny in high mint state, say MS67 or above, can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on its color, luster, and strike quality. A full red, mirror-like example can rise even higher at auction, with passionate bidders driving prices to surprising heights. But the true value, in many ways, transcends the numbers. It lies in what the coin represents: perseverance, discovery, and the enduring hope of finding something rare in the ordinary. Still, the myth of the multi-million-dollar penny endures. Part of that legend comes from the wider world of rare coin collecting, where stories of 6- and 7-figure sales are indeed real. Coins like the 1943 copper penny or the 1794 flowing hair dollar have commanded breathtaking sums. And so, the imagination does what it always does: it bridges the gap between what is real and what could be. If one rare penny could sell for millions, why not another? Why not the 1990D? The dream is what keeps people searching. In kitchens, garages, and basements around the world, individuals sift through jars of old change, eyes straining under the light of magnifiers, searching for that one date, that one tiny D mint mark. Each coin turned over carries a heartbeat of anticipation. Some find only ordinary cents, worn, dull, unremarkable. But for a brief moment, every coin holds the possibility of greatness. That moment, that small flicker of hope, is what makes collecting so powerful. The psychology of collecting runs deep in human nature. We are creatures who crave meaning, who find comfort in patterns and rarity. To hold something rare is to feel chosen, to possess a fragment of the extraordinary. And the 1990D penny, though modest in appearance, carries that potential in every curve of its design. Its luster, its weight, its soft echo when dropped on a tabletop, all these details remind us of the care that went into its creation. Of the Denver Mint, known for precision and consistency, struck more than 6 billion Lincoln cents that year. Most would vanish into circulation, their lives brief and unremarkable. But within that flood, a handful of coins stood apart, struck just a little sharper, preserved a little longer, and eventually recognized for what they were. Some of those now rest in the collections of passionate numismatists who understand their significance. They guard them not only as investments but as artifacts, proof that even in mass production, excellence can emerge. Behind every such discovery lies a chain of hands, mint workers ensuring dies are clean, inspectors checking strikes, collectors preserving examples before they fade. It is a quiet collaboration across time, unspoken yet essential. Without it, no rare coin could survive. The 1990D owes its legend not only to rarity but to those who saw its worth before the rest of the world did. Today, as digital currencies rise and physical coins become less common in daily life, the 1990D penny grows ever more symbolic. It stands as a reminder of the tactile past, a time when money could be held, when its beauty was visible, when craftsmanship was part of everyday life. There is something profoundly human about that connection. To run your fingers across a coin's ridges, to feel its cold surface warm in your palm, is to hold a piece of history in its purest form. The market for such coins continues to evolve. Auction houses document record prices, collectors analyze population reports, and grading services update census counts that track every known specimen. Each time a new high-grade 1990D appears, it causes ripples across the community. Discussions ignite on forums, predictions rise and fall, and videos are made celebrating the find. The digital age has given these small treasures a global audience, transforming local discoveries into international events. But beyond the market, beyond the numbers, there remains a simple truth: the 1990D penny's true worth is emotional. It connects people across borders, generations, and languages. It brings together grandfathers teaching grandchildren about coins, historians tracing the lineage of American design, and casual observers who stumble upon its story and find themselves captivated. That connection, that shared spark of wonder, is what gives the coin its eternal power. The myth of the $84 million penny, though exaggerated, carries symbolic meaning. It represents the idea that value is limitless when combined with imagination and history. Every collector who hears that number doesn't merely think of money, they think of discovery, of luck, of the moment when something forgotten suddenly becomes priceless. It is a story about hope disguised as a coin, about how belief can transform even the smallest object into something magnificent. Under the surface of its copper plating lies a story of transformation, from raw metal to art, from currency to legend. It is the story of America itself, built from ordinary things made extraordinary through purpose and perseverance. The face of Abraham Lincoln on its obverse reminds us of leadership through struggle. The Lincoln Memorial on its reverse reminds us of endurance through time. Together, they tell the story of a nation and of a penny that became a mirror of its spirit. Somewhere out there, in a forgotten piggy bank or a dusty jar, another 1990D penny waits to be found. Perhaps it has never been touched since it left the mint, its shine still perfect, its edges sharp as the day it was struck. Maybe it will surface one day, and with it, reignite the legend. Headlines shouting about another $1 million discovery, voices on the internet marveling at how something so small could hold such wealth. And perhaps, once again, the world will look closer at its change and remember that history is never far away. As the camera pans across the glimmering surface of a single coin under soft light, the narrator's voice lowers, reflective and calm. This is not just the story of metal and money, it says. It is the story of curiosity, craftsmanship, and connection, the story of how even the most ordinary coin can remind us of who we are, and what we value most. The 1990D Lincoln cent, one symbol, one legend, continues its journey through time, a silent witness to generations, a monument to patience and discovery, a small piece of copper that carries the dreams of millions. Time moves forward, but the legend of the 1990D penny refuses to fade. What began as whispers among collectors has now become a global story, a story that travels through online auctions, collector conventions, and late-night discussions among those who understand the beauty of rarity. The coin itself hasn't changed, it remains small, copper-colored, and familiar. Yet the world around it has transformed, and with it, so has the meaning of value. In the digital age, where money flows invisibly through screens and networks, a single coin made of metal seems almost ancient, almost mythical. But that is precisely what gives the 1990D its power. It represents something that no digital currency can capture: the tangible memory of craftsmanship, the scent of history, and the enduring weight of something real. Every collector who holds one feels the same quiet reverence. This, they think, is what value once felt like across the United States. Coin shows buzz with the soft hum of conversation. Under rows of bright lights, display cases glimmer with coins of every era: silver dollars, buffalo nickels, gold eagles, and in a few carefully guarded cases, the copper glint of high-grade Lincoln cents. Among them, the 1990D draws particular attention. Collectors lean close, studying the surfaces with magnifying glasses, noting every reflection and shadow. The way light plays across the coin's luster tells its story, whether it was struck cleanly, whether the die was fresh, whether the coin was preserved untouched since the day it was made. These moments are filled with both science and emotion. Dealers discuss population reports, using terms like MS68, full red, and proof-like finish. They speak of strike quality, die condition, and the difference between brilliant and satin surfaces. But beneath that language lies something more primal: the thrill of the hunt. Every collector, whether they admit it or not, dreams of finding the perfect coin, the one that escapes the passage of time and stands as a testament to perfection itself. The 1990D has become one of those dreams. Over the years, grading has become an art form in itself. Professional services like PCGS and NGC have created a standardized world where every scratch, every speck of dust, every faint discoloration is documented and quantified. The number on the slab, MS66, MS67, MS68, can mean the difference between a coin worth a few dollars and one worth thousands. In this world, the 1990D occupies a fascinating space. It is common in lower grades, but in the upper echelons of mint state perfection, it becomes almost mythical. Only a handful of coins reach those elite grades, and each one is treated with near religious reverence. Collectors speak of these coins with respect, as if describing living beings. This one has a full, blazing red luster, one might say. No carbon spots, no contact marks. Another nods knowingly, whispering about die rotations, doubled dies, or minute varieties that might make a coin unique. It is in these details that value is born. Perfection is not about rarity alone, it is about the illusion of eternity. A coin that seems untouched by human hands, frozen forever in its moment of creation. Die in the world of auctions, stories of incredible prices fuel the obsession. When a coin like the 1990D appears in a major sale, the atmosphere shifts. The air grows tense as bids climb higher and higher, each number representing years of searching and passion. The auctioneer's voice rises and falls like a heartbeat. Collectors around the room watch, holding their breath, as a simple penny transforms into a symbol of victory. When the hammer finally falls, applause breaks out, not only for the buyer, but for the coin itself. That moment is not just about money. It is about recognition, the acknowledgement of something extraordinary that survived against the odds. The winning bidder knows that they hold more than a piece of metal. They hold a story that began in the roaring halls of the Denver Mint in 1990, passed unseen through the years, and finally emerged into the light again, radiant and complete. But not every story is glamorous. For every collector who finds treasure, thousands more find only ordinary coins, worn, scratched, unremarkable. Yet they continue to search. There is something deeply human about that persistence, something that transcends logic. The act of searching itself becomes a ritual, a form of meditation. With each handful of coins examined, each magnified surface studied, hope is renewed. That hope, that faint shimmer of possibility, is what drives the entire world of numismatics. The 1990D penny, though small, embodies this hope perfectly. It is the bridge between eras, the last of the simple coins before the digital revolution fully changed how we think of money. Its weight, 2.5 grams, may be light, but its symbolic weight is immense. It connects people across time, the workers who minted it, the collectors who cherish it, the dreamers who imagine it worth millions. It is a thread that ties past to present, a reminder that even in an age of change, some things endure. Behind the scenes, coin experts and historians continue to study the 1990D with meticulous care. They analyze die pairs, search for rare varieties, and track how surfaces age over time. Some investigate microscopic die cracks that reveal how the mint operated that year, others focus on how storage conditions can alter a coin's appearance. It is a discipline both technical and poetic, a merging of art and science. Every discovery adds another layer to the coin's legend. In Denver, where the original dies once struck billions of these cents, the mint itself has become a site of quiet pilgrimage. Visitors walk past exhibits showcasing the history of American coinage, from hand-struck colonial pieces to modern precision strikes. And there, amid the hum of machines and the shine of fresh planchets, one can almost feel the spirit of history moving, the same energy that gave birth to the 1990D penny decades ago. For the collectors who travel to such places, the journey is personal. Some have spent entire lifetimes searching for perfection, studying coins under lamps late into the night. Their stories are filled with patience, disappointment, and triumph. They speak of the day they first discovered a mint error, the thrill of spotting a rare double die, the moment they realized that something ordinary in their hands was, in fact, extraordinary. For them, the 1990D penny is not merely a coin, it is a mirror reflecting their dedication. Among these collectors are quiet legends, men and women whose names are spoken with respect in numismatic circles. They are the ones who discovered rare varieties, who authenticated treasures once thought lost, who preserved coins that might otherwise have vanished. Their passion ensures that the story of coins like the 1990D will never die. Through their efforts, history remains alive, shining with the same luster as a freshly struck cent. As the camera glides over scenes of coin collections, auction rooms, and the glowing faces of collectors, the narrator's voice softens, reflective yet proud. It tells of how these coins, small as they are, carry the essence of human achievement. They remind us of our ability to create beauty in the everyday, to find meaning in the minute, to preserve what time would otherwise erase. The 1990D Lincoln cent is one of those reminders. It has outlived trends, technologies, and generations. It continues to shine not because of its metal, but because of the stories people have attached to it, stories of discovery, of perseverance, of belief. And though not every coin will sell for thousands, every coin has the power to inspire. In the end, that is what gives the 1990D its true worth. It teaches that greatness can be found in simplicity, that history can hide in plain sight, that even a penny can carry the weight of a century. The legend of its $84 million value may be myth, but its impact is undeniably real. It reminds us that value is not fixed, it is created through imagination, passion, and time. As the scene fades to black, the sound of coins gently clinking fills the air, echoing through time, from the minting presses of 1990 to the collectors of today and the dreamers of tomorrow. And in that sound lies a truth as timeless as the coin itself, that every piece of history, no matter how small, has a story worth telling. There comes a point in every great story when the object at its center, whether a relic, a painting, or a simple coin, transcends what it physically is. The 1990D Lincoln cent has reached that point. No longer just a piece of copper-plated zinc, it has become an emblem of endurance, a mirror reflecting not only the face of Abraham Lincoln but the spirit of humanity itself, our fascination with permanence, our desire to hold on to time, and our endless pursuit of meaning in the smallest of things. As the years pass, coins like this one grow rarer in circulation. The sound of a penny hitting a counter, once ordinary, now feels nostalgic. For many, it recalls a childhood memory, saving coins in glass jars, counting them on the floor, dreaming of what they might buy. That small ritual connected generations. The penny, simple and humble, carried both history and hope. The 1990D, though minted billions of times, has come to represent that connection most vividly. It reminds us that value is not always found in grand things, but in moments we often overlook. When you look closely at a 1990D penny, under bright light and magnification, something extraordinary happens. The coin becomes a world of detail, the delicate engraving of Lincoln's coat, the sharp rim encircling the fields, the faint grain of the copper surface that seems to pulse with warmth. The letters, though tiny, stand eternal: Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, United States of America. Each word carries weight beyond metal. Each phrase feels like a whisper from the past, speaking of ideals, unity, and faith in endurance. There is an almost sacred quality to this coin when viewed with patience. Its design has outlasted fashion and technology, it has witnessed the world change and still looks the same. It is, in essence, a small promise that some things will always remain familiar. That constancy gives comfort in an age of flux. People hold on to it not because it buys much, but because it feels like a fragment of something steady. In philosophical terms, the penny is more than money. It is memory made tangible. The 1990D represents a moment in human time, a year when technology was emerging, yet the world still ran on touch and paper. It embodies the delicate balance between tradition and transformation. Every scratch on its surface marks an interaction, a life it passed through, a trace of the countless invisible exchanges that formed the rhythm of civilization. Think of how many hands one penny may have touched. A child dropping it into a candy machine. A shopkeeper giving it as change. A traveler slipping it into a pocket halfway across the world. And yet among billions, a few remain untouched, preserved in albums and holders, waiting in silence. Those untouched coins, the rare survivors, are like time capsules, pure reflections of the moment they were born. They remind us that perfection, though rare, exists, if only for those who know where to look. Collectors often describe this feeling as something spiritual. They say that finding or holding a flawless coin is like touching time itself, as though the years between its minting and now collapse into an instant. The shine, the texture, the subtle glow, all of it connects them to the past in a way that words cannot. That connection is not measured in dollars, nor in grades. It is measured in awe. The legend of the 1990 penny being worth $84 million is, of course, symbolic and exaggeration born from fascination, from the way human imagination magnifies the things we love. But there is a truth inside that legend, that value grows when we believe. The world of coins is built on faith, faith in rarity, faith in preservation, faith that the past can be held. Every great collector understands that what they truly collect is not metal, but moments. In a world obsessed with progress, coins remind us of continuity. They are the anchors of civilization's timeline. When historians of the future look back, coins will speak louder than words. They will tell of what we valued, how we saw our leaders, what symbols we cherished. And in that story, the Lincoln cent, especially the 1990 will stand as one of the longest-running, most enduring artifacts of modern humanity. There's a poetic irony in this: a coin worth 1 cent, designed for everyday use, has achieved immortality not through its function, but through its endurance. Billions were made, but only a few will be remembered. That mirrors life itself. Billions of moments pass unnoticed, yet a few are preserved forever in memory, shining untouched by time. As the camera drifts across scenes of hands turning coins in soft light, a voice speaks quietly. Perhaps what we truly seek is not wealth, but remembrance. Not fortune, but meaning. And indeed, that is what the 1990 represents. It is a story about finding significance in the ordinary, about how patience and curiosity can transform something small into something monumental. There's a deeper beauty in the coin's imperfections, too. Each tiny mark tells a story. A faint scratch across Lincoln's cheek, a small nick near the rim, these are traces of life, signs that the coin has lived, that it has journeyed through the world and returned. In that way, even a circulated penny holds grace. It carries both the purity of its design and the humanity of its travels. When viewed from that perspective, the 1990 penny becomes a metaphor for endurance, for how meaning evolves through time. The coin does not change, we do. As society moves toward cashless transactions and digital abstraction, the simple act of holding a coin becomes an act of resistance, a reminder of texture, of contact, of history that cannot be erased with a keystroke. Collectors of the 1990 often speak not of ownership, but of guardianship. They see themselves as caretakers of history, preserving it for the next generation. They know that coins outlive people. One day, long after they're gone, these pennies will still glimmer in their holders, still tell their story silently, still bear Lincoln's face as steadfast as ever. To care for such an object is to participate in something eternal. In philosophical reflection, we might say that the penny teaches humility. It shows that greatness often hides in plain sight. It reminds us that the most valuable things in life are not always rare, but meaningful. The 1990 penny's journey from a small coin in circulation to a legendary collectible mirrors humanity's journey, from simplicity toward understanding, from material to spiritual value. Every collector who lifts that coin under light, every viewer who listens to this story, participates in that journey. For within the gleam of a single cent lies an entire philosophy, that time, memory, and beauty can converge in the smallest spaces, that even the humblest creation can hold infinite depth. Some night, years from now, perhaps someone will find a 1990 penny at the bottom of a drawer, forgotten among buttons and keys. They will pick it up, study the date, and feel that spark, the same spark that has captivated generations. They might not know its market value or its grading scale, but they will know that it feels important. And in that quiet moment, they will have rediscovered what so many before them felt, the profound wonder hidden inside something ordinary. The 1990 Lincoln cent endures not because of its price tag, but because it reminds us that permanence exists. That beauty, though small, is worth protecting. That history, though silent, still speaks. In the end, that is the real worth of the coin, not $84 million, not even $1,000, but the endless ability to make us look closer, think deeper, and remember that even in the smallest things, the story of humanity shines brightest. The story of the 1990 Lincoln cent extends far beyond the boundaries of any mint, any collector's album, any auction room. Its story reaches into the heart of how we define civilization itself. Across every era, in every culture, coins have served as witnesses to the passage of time, carrying the emblems of nations, the likenesses of leaders, the words of faith and unity. And though centuries separate them, the essence remains unchanged. Each coin, no matter how small, becomes a message from one generation to the next. When the Denver Mint struck the 1990 penny, they could not have imagined that decades later, it would become the subject of wonder, discussion, and even myth. In that year, millions of coins poured from the presses in rhythmic harmony, the sound of machinery echoing like a metallic heartbeat of America. Each strike carried precision, strength, and purpose. Each coin left the mint shining and flawless, yet destined to scatter into countless directions across the continent and the world. Imagine those freshly minted pennies, still warm, sliding into bins, bagged, and shipped by trucks to banks, stores, and hands. From there, they began their journey through life into the pockets of workers, the palms of children, the drawers of old shopkeepers. They clinked against glass counters, fell onto sidewalks, rolled beneath furniture. Some vanished into the earth, lost for decades, waiting silently to be rediscovered. Some traveled across oceans in the luggage of travelers, quietly carrying their origin in their design. Each one became a fragment of human movement, an artifact of everyday life, but among those billions, there were a few that would never enter circulation. Perfect specimens sealed away by collectors, preserved in pristine condition, still glowing with the brilliance of their first strike. Those are the coins that have survived as if untouched by time. When a collector holds such a 1990D under light today, it appears the same as it did the instant it left the die, a small miracle of preservation, proof that time can be paused, if only in metal. And yet, what makes these pennies so captivating is not only their appearance or rarity. It is what they represent. They are a reflection of how value evolves. A coin once worth a single cent now commands thousands, even millions in symbolic worth, not because its metal has changed, but because our perception has. This is the alchemy of human meaning. We turn metal into memory, matter into myth. The 1990D Lincoln cent became a vessel for that transformation. When a coin like this sells for tens of thousands, it is not just a transaction, it is a ritual. It is a collector paying homage to time. It is the recognition that rarity is not merely numerical, but emotional. For every flawless 1990D penny, there are billions more that lived, aged, and wore down, their designs softened by the touch of human life. The contrast between them, the uncirculated and the spent, mirrors the balance between perfection and experience, youth and age, eternity and impermanence. Somewhere in that contrast lies the essence of beauty. The untouched coin tells of what once was, the promise of newness. The worn one tells of what has been, the story of use, of contact, of humanity. Together they form a dialogue about time itself. And in that dialogue, we discover the deeper truth, that value exists not in isolation, but in connection across the world. Coins have always been symbols of identity. The Greek drachmas, the Roman denarii, the Chinese cash coins with their square holes, the ancient Persian darics, all carried not just value, but messages. They told stories of rulers, gods, and empires. And when those empires fell, the coins remained, whispering of what once was. So too will the Lincoln cent whisper to future generations of a country that believed in liberty, in trust, in memory. The portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse is not merely decoration. It is a tribute to ideals that outlast lifetimes. Lincoln's steady gaze, cast in metal, has endured for over a century. He watches silently from every cent, a witness to change, to conflict, to progress. His presence gives the coin moral weight. It turns money into message, commerce into reflection. The 1990D continues that legacy. It is both an artifact and a mirror, reminding us of who we were, and who we strive to be. Collectors often say that the beauty of coin collecting is the journey it inspires, not only the hunt for rare pieces, but the awareness it cultivates. Each coin connects you to history, to art, to humanity's shared story. The 1990D is a gateway to that feeling. It may seem ordinary at first glance, but the more one learns about it, the more extraordinary it becomes. It reveals layers of significance, the evolution of the U.S. Mint, the technological precision of modern production, the endurance of design through decades, the shift from copper to zinc, each element a thread in the vast tapestry of time. And when someone learns that a particular 1990D penny once sold for tens of thousands of dollars, they are reminded that even the smallest things can hold immense worth. The number $84 million sounds like a myth, and perhaps it is, but behind every myth lies a truth about human fascination. We need stories of transformation, of discovery, of finding gold where we least expect it. The 1990D penny gives us that story. It lets us believe that miracles can hide in plain sight, in pockets, in drawers, in the loose change we forget to count. There is something profoundly human about that hope. It drives people to check their coins, to look closely at dates, to search for mint marks, to dream that maybe they too hold a piece of forgotten fortune. And in that search, they reconnect with curiosity, the very engine of progress and imagination. The coin becomes a symbol of the human spirit, the desire to find meaning where others see none. As decades pass and digital currencies dominate, the penny's presence grows even more poetic. It stands as a reminder of tactility, of the era when value was something you could touch, feel, and weigh in your palm. The texture of the metal, the ring of it hitting another coin, those are sensations that connect us to the physical world, to the material proof of existence. The 1990D Lincoln cent is one of the last holdouts of that era, a relic of contact in a world turning virtual. In museums and private collections, coins like this will one day be displayed under glass, their humble origins now stories of wonder. Children will peer through the glass and see the familiar face of Lincoln, the date 1990, the tiny D mark. And as they listen to their parents explain how something once worth 1 cent could become priceless, they will feel the same awe their ancestors felt holding gold coins, silver crowns, or bronze tokens. That is how history breathes, not through monuments, but through memory preserved in objects. The story of the 1990D penny is not finished. It continues every time someone finds one, every time a collector uncovers a hidden variety, every time a storyteller recounts its legend. Its value will rise and fall in markets, but its meaning will only grow. For in the end, what endures is not the price, but the narrative. It is that narrative that turns a piece of metal into a living story, a small, round embodiment of history, art, and human wonder. And so the 1990D Lincoln cent, humble and enduring, carries forward its quiet mission to remind us that even in a world rushing toward the future, the past still lives in our pockets, in our collections, in the weight of a single coin resting in the palm of a hand. In the quiet rhythm of passing years, coins like the 1990D Lincoln cent become more than artifacts, they become companions to the story of humankind. They move through generations, bridging the distance between the past and the present, whispering softly that everything which touches time leaves a trace. A coin is never just a coin, it is a witness. It remembers hands that held it, pockets it rested in, dreams it funded, and stories it silently observed. Somewhere, decades ago, a 1990D penny was pressed into a child's palm as a reward for good behavior, its metallic sheen catching sunlight as laughter echoed around. Another was tossed into a fountain, a wish folded quietly within it. Another was dropped on a dusty street and picked up by a stranger. And somewhere, one coin untouched, flawless, waited in a drawer, quietly sleeping for years, until one day it was found and recognized for what it was, a time traveler, perfectly preserved. Each of these stories belongs to the same lineage, the same silent chorus of copper voices that sing of continuity. We often measure our lives by milestones, first steps, first jobs, first loves, but beneath those moments lie tiny anchors of reality, the ordinary objects that accompany us. A coin, a key, a letter. The 1990D penny has been one such anchor, existing quietly through all the noise of life, holding the shape of something eternal. When you hold it now, decades later, you hold the same design that someone held in 1909 when the first Lincoln cent appeared. The same face, the same ideals, the same message. That is not just history, that is immortality crafted in metal. Think of it this way: every human life is finite, but creation can outlast its creator. The artist who sculpted Lincoln's profile, Victor David Brenner, has long since passed, yet his art lives on in billions of coins that still circulate, still glimmer faintly under supermarket lights or rest quietly in jars on windowsills. His work became part of the world's daily rhythm, seen by more eyes than almost any other piece of art in human history. The 1990D penny is one of his descendants, a continuation of that legacy, proof that beauty can hide in the most common places. The notion of an $84 million penny sounds unbelievable, even absurd to some. But the truth is that its worth lies in what it represents, a celebration of survival. It is the story of a coin that withstood time, kept its form, and carried its dignity unaltered. In a way, it mirrors the endurance of the human spirit. We too are shaped by pressure, by experience, by the passage of time. We, too, lose our shine, but gain our story. And just as collectors value the rare, the preserved, the unique, so too does life value the moments we manage to keep untouched by cynicism or loss, the pure, bright things that survive in us despite times where the Lincoln cent, especially the 1990D, symbolizes faith and continuity. It is not merely the face of Lincoln staring outward, it is a reflection of the ideal that trust, liberty, and unity must endure even when everything else changes. The inscription "In God We Trust" glows faintly, carved in simplicity, yet it carries centuries of belief. Each word etched in the coin is an invocation, an echo of collective hope. That is why people still care. Not because the metal has worth, but because the idea does. In a world where everything seems to move faster each day, where digital screens replace touch, and numbers replace meaning, the presence of a small, tangible object like the penny is almost spiritual. To hold it is to slow down time. It reminds us that value was once weight, that history was something you could feel between your fingers. The cold touch of copper becomes warmth when you realize what it has endured, countless exchanges, countless lives, yet still here. Some collectors describe the moment they first held a 1990D in pristine condition as electric. They say it felt as though the coin was alive, pulsing faintly with memory. Its surface flawless, its fields mirror-like, its edges sharp. They describe seeing their reflection faintly across Lincoln's face and feeling an odd connection, as if the coin was watching them as much as they were watching it. In that instant, they felt not like owners, but like participants in history. That is what collecting truly is, not possession, but communion. Imagine an old man sitting at a wooden desk, his hands weathered, his glasses sliding down his nose as he opens a small velvet case. Inside lies the 1990D penny, sealed, gleaming, untouched for decades. He turns it slowly, his eyes tracing the familiar lines of Lincoln's face. For him, it is not the money it might fetch at auction, but the memories it holds. The memories of searching, learning, discovering. For him, this coin is not metal, it is time, crystallized. And as he looks at it, perhaps he remembers being a young boy, sifting through change, dreaming that one day he would find something special. In that moment, the circle closes. The child and the man become one through the small, round bridge of a penny. This is what makes the 1990 D Lincoln cent more than an object of commerce. It is an object of reflection. It teaches us that meaning can be found in the smallest things, if only we look long enough. The shimmer of copper becomes the shimmer of understanding. The sound of metal striking metal becomes the echo of civilization's heart. Even the worn, dirty pennies, the ones that have lost their shine, hold stories. They remind us that imperfection does not erase value. Just as no two lives are the same, no two coins are marked the same way. Each has its scars, its dents, its faded letters. And yet, each one remains a cent, still part of the system, still fulfilling its purpose. There is beauty in that constancy, in that equality. Whether polished or tarnished, each coin belongs. As the light fades and the documentary camera drifts over countless pennies spread across a wooden table, the voice of the narrator lowers to a whisper. One day, the world will forget what a penny felt like. But long after we are gone, it will still exist, buried in soil, locked in boxes, sleeping in silence. Waiting for someone to find it, to hold it again, and to remember. And that is what makes the 1990 D Lincoln cent eternal. It carries within it not just the symbol of a nation, but the essence of memory itself. It proves that even when value fades from the market, meaning remains in the soul. In the stillness of that realization, the story deepens. The camera fades to a close-up of the coin. Its surface gleams softly under a golden light. You can see every detail, the letters, the year, the mint mark. For a moment, the world goes silent. Only the faint hum of time remains. The viewer realizes that what they are seeing is not just a coin, but a mirror reflecting the human desire to be remembered, to leave something behind that endures beyond flesh and years. The 1990 D penny, then, is not simply rare, it is symbolic of what we all seek: permanence, purpose, and presence. To hold it is to hold a whisper from history, a reminder that everything we create, no matter how small, can outlive us if it carries meaning, and that, perhaps, is the greatest wealth of all. As the final chapter unfolds, the camera drifts slowly over the surface of a single coin. The light bends across the copper, turning it into a small sun, glowing in the vast silence of history. This is the 1990 D Lincoln cent, one story, one symbol that carries the breath of countless lives. In its tiny circle, everything converges: the echo of the minting press, the hum of distant decades, the memory of hands that held it, and the dreams of those who believed that even the smallest object could become eternal. The journey of this coin is, in truth, the journey of humanity itself. From creation to circulation, from wear to rediscovery, from obscurity to wonder, it mirrors every life, every civilization that ever rose and fell. The coin does not speak, yet it tells stories that words could never hold. Its face reflects a man who fought for unity, whose spirit became the soul of a nation. Its surface carries the touch of those who earned it, spent it, saved it, lost it, and found it again. And though it was born in 1990, it lives outside time, because meaning has no age. The narrator's voice grows softer, more contemplative. We live in an age that measures worth in numbers, he says. But the penny reminds us that value cannot always be counted. Sometimes it must be felt. As the world changes, technology rises, and coins vanish into memory, the penny endures. It becomes a relic of a slower rhythm, a relic of touch, of effort, of gratitude. Somewhere, in the quiet of a drawer or the pocket of an old jacket, a 1990 D still waits, forgotten perhaps, but not lost. It waits for the hand that will rediscover it, for the spark of curiosity that will light again, for the story that will be told once more. The worth of $84 million is an illusion of the market, a whisper of imagination, but the true value is something greater. It is the power to inspire, to connect, to remind us that even the humblest creation can carry infinite meaning. A penny that travels across decades gathers not dust, but stories. And those stories are priceless. The film's score swells softly, strings, low and warm, like memory itself unfolding. The camera pulls back, showing billions of pennies glimmering under a shaft of light, each one a star in a copper galaxy. Somewhere among them lies the perfect one, the uncirculated miracle, the 1990 D that remains untouched by time. But as the light spreads, you realize that all of them are beautiful, even the worn, the faded, the forgotten, because together they form the story of us. The narrator continues, every coin is a witness. Every mark is a memory. Every reflection is a fragment of the countless lives that gave it meaning. And when you look closely enough, You see that it was never about the metal at all, it was always about the people. The image fades into scenes of everyday life: a child placing a penny on railroad tracks, a father teaching his son to count change, a collector carefully sliding a coin into a holder, an elderly woman dropping a cent into a donation box. The coin moves silently through these moments like a heartbeat, unchanged, yet always part of something greater, and then, at the end, there is only one hand holding one coin against the sky. The sunlight catches it perfectly. The tiny D glimmers near the date 1990. The wind moves gently, carrying the faint echo of all that has been said. The narrator's voice returns, soft, deliberate, certain. Perhaps this is why we keep searching, not for wealth, but for connection. Not for perfection, but for remembrance. A coin may be small, but the meaning we give it makes it vast. It holds the story of creation, the trace of time, and the whisper of every hand it ever touched. The 1990 D Lincoln cent is not just a coin. It is a reminder that value, like history, is never lost, only waiting to be rediscovered. The screen fades slowly to black. The final sound is the faint metallic ring of a penny landing on a table, one single, simple note that lingers in the air, like the echo of time itself, and with that sound, the story ends. But the coin remains, shining, patient, eternal, because even when the world forgets the penny will never forget the world.